My name is Amanda Dunyak-Gillen, and I am the Assistant Curator of Education and Collections for Clayton, the historic home of Henry Clay Frick and his family. The tour that we're currently offering through October 31st is Mourning Customs in the Victorian Era. And if you'd like to step inside with me, I will show you some of the objects and artifacts and things we have on display for this tour. Most of the information that's presented on the tour dates to really the 1880s and 90s, but we set up the parlor to represent the private funeral service that was held here for Henry Clay Frick when he passed away in December of 1919. We know from newspaper articles and other documentation that's been saved that Henry Clay Frick passed away in New York and then was brought back to Pittsburgh and had a service here. And from those articles we know about what was done, what was on display, what was in this room for that service. So to give that information to our visitors, we have recreated a little floral display here that represents the palms that are mentioned in the newspaper, some other bouquets that we know were here, and also a wreath of white orchids that, according to the newspaper articles, were put on display from Mr. Frick's immediate family, from Mrs. Frick and his children Helen and Childs. The theme of this tour is mourning customs in the Victorian era, but the thing that's really important to know is that it's actually about what the living did. When someone passed away or when there was a death in the family, there were a lot of social signals sent and received in the Victorian era by how you dressed, where you went, and also your correspondence. One of the terrific things we have to show on the tour is this 1888 letter. It's something we purchased from an antique dealer. It's from a woman in Baltimore writing to someone in England. But what's important is that it's on the kind of mourning stationery that people would have used. Very simple stationery with a black border. And that black border sent an indication that the person who was writing the letter was in mourning. Your calling cards would have had the same black border around the edge, and again, that was a social signal to let people know what status you considered yourself to be in. One of the most obvious ways that someone would send a signal to the outside world that he or she was in mourning was by dress. And particularly for women, what you wore sent a signal as to which stage of mourning you were in. Mourning began with deep mourning, which was really the dark black, no sparkling jewelry, nothing shiny. After an appropriate time, you would move into semi-mourning or half-mourning, which was shades of gray. And then as you worked your way out of the mourning period, you would wear lavenders and purples and violets. Those colors, let people know that you were coming out of your period of mourning. On the tour, we have a number of clothing items to show, including this veil. This is a crepe veil, very typical of what people would have worn when they were in deep mourning. And this is a touchable object. This is something that we have for visitors to handle. We have a number of items of jewelry and clothing on the tour that people are allowed to touch and feel and really get their hands on some pieces of Victorian mourning. Victorian mourning is the theme of this special tour of Clayton, but it's not the only information that you'll learn on your tour. You'll still learn about Clayton itself and also about the lives of the Frick family members and their domestic staff. Even if you've never been here before, this is a wonderful way to experience Clayton this fall, and so we hope that you will call soon to make your reservation. Thank you.